Okay, today I'm giving you a little update on our headliner as it comes along. This headliner is completely custom, one-off, handmade. When you hand make something, you have to make everything that you saw. We had to make the steamer to steam it, and you have to make all the tools involved to make this, and make all the parts and pieces, and make it work where you can put it in and take it out. So there's a lot going on when you do all this type custom work. But also in making this headliner, you see the painstaking effort we've went into to arc it just a little bit. You're only talking about a ½ inch over 43 inches, so it's not much of an arch. But that little bit of an arch, that subtle bit of an arch, is the difference between having a custom look and having a piece of, looks like a piece of paneling up there overhead. So it'll mold with the headliner just a little bit, and it's just a huge effect, but it takes a lot of work to get that little bit of a ½ inch. And with these glued in place now, I've put a little bit of an arc into my strips that I'll polish. These will actually be what locks the headliner in. Once I get the headliner up in there and slide it in place, these will be polished, and they will insert right in there all the way across, which is also going to help in my strength of retaining that arc overhead, because you really have to think about that, because there's a lot of heat, a lot of vibration. Over the years, the headliner can come down. With this, the headliner ought to stay up nice and strong. So today my goal is to work on getting these other panels glued in. It takes a little bit of time waiting on the glue to dry. You add some, then let it dry, and then add some more and add some more. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to go over and finish sanding on my frame and get my frame ready to put the paint on it next week, hopefully. So we can get this thing ready in about 25, 24 weeks, and days are counting. So let me get to work. Alright, I was gluing down my Bubinga strips, and I thought I'd take a minute to show you kind of what's involved in gluing wood together. The wood here, I've sanded and cleaned it and got it completely ready to go. I've fit my wood, and everything is ready to lay right in place. The type of wood I'm using is a contact type adhesive. If you use it properly, it's extremely strong. But what I'm doing, because it is a headliner and it's going to take a lot of strength, this wood, I put on multiple layers on it. So with this contact adhesive, you put it down pretty heavy, and then you go ahead and put it on your strips. You can see, I don't know if you can tell on the camera there, that it's a little bit shiny in spots and then dry in others. I'm letting this set till it completely looks hazed over, dried over, and then I'm going to go back and apply another coat of it. This stuff right here, you can actually let it dry. It takes a little while, but 15, 20, 30 minutes, and you can let it dry over. Just do something else. If you forget about it and dry too long, all you have to do is reapply it, and it opens that back up and ready for the glue. So I'm going to actually do 2 layers of this glue, so it's really going to be strong. So I'm going to let this set for just a little bit longer till it completely hazes over. Then when it gets hazed over, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to wipe it again, and it'll be real glossy and shiny. And I'm going to let that haze over, and then when it hazes over that second time, when I lay this piece of wood where it is where it is. It is going to stick instantly. Now it's going to take about 7 days for it to cure completely, but you can see what's kind of involved and how long it takes. I'll do 3 at a time, working them in real nice and tight, and then I'll lay my little spacer in between it, and then I'll do 3 more and do 3 more. And it'll take most of the day time I get done with this, but meanwhile, in between waiting, I'm going to be working on that frame so I don't lose any time. So I just want to show you what all is involved, and then when you see this in Vegas or at a show or whatever, you kind of know what went into making that headliner. Alright, back here on my headliner, you can see I got all the rest of my strips glued in today. I've been bouncing back and forth from the sanding to here to get these strips on. I got all my clamps in place, and we'll let this glue sit up all night long. Tomorrow I'll pull all this off of here and get a look, see what it's going to look like. Hopefully it'll maintain the nice arch, even arch that we had in it. Then we'll sand all this down and put clear on it and polish our strips, and it's going to be really, really nice when I get done with this. So it's time for me to go. I'm going to get cleaned up, and I'm done for the day. Okay, I've got my headliner all glued in place and got all my weights off of it and all my clamps off of it, and you can kind of see how it's starting to lay out now. All these boards have been glued in. I've kind of sanded over all of them, and now I've went and bought me some putty, which is actually for red mahogany, but it'll be close enough for this. And this is what I'm doing today, is I'm injecting it anywhere where the seam is widened a little bit, because my wood I cut straight, but the contour of the headliner is making it where the seams open up just a little bit due to expansion. And I'll work that in. Just really push it down into that crack real good. And then when you get it down the crack, just take a scraper, scrape that off. And then I will let that set all night, and tomorrow I'll come in here and sand that.
Okay, we're doing our little update on our headliner, but before we do that, I want to talk about what we've got going now. We've got our new GoPro in place, and thanks to Kevin Tetz, I want to give a shout out to Kevin for letting us use his wireless microphone system. We've got all that working and in place, and from now on we're going to try to use this. We're going to do some time-lapse video, really enhancement on our video production here. But meanwhile, I've gotten Chrome Shop, S&H Chrome. We want to welcome them aboard. They said they would help us out with this project and get all this parts chromed real nice for us. And while I'm doing that, I want to give you a little tip on chroming. Some of the parts laying here you'll see are in copper. This copper is, we send this to the Chrome Shop and have it put in copper so that we can do our body work with the copper. A lot of times you send your part out to the Chrome Shop, you get it back, and in the time they get done chroming, it's too big to fit. So what we do is send it to our Chrome Shop, have them put it in the copper, they send it back to us, and then we sand that copper down to make it fit the car or the whatever piece we're trying to make it fit, and then we send it back and have it re-chromed. It's the right perfect size. Really nice little tip right there, and most of your Chrome Shops will work with you and get that done for you. So if you notice over here, we've got our 9-inch forward rear end built, and it's ready to be painted and installed. And then here in the back, we'll go back here and I'll show you the finish of our headliner. Okay, it's a moment of truth on my headliner fitment. Last shot you saw was I was putting in my spot putty. I let that spot putty set all night. Next morning I come in, sanded that down real smooth. Been working on my strips. You saw my strips were just a standard piece of stainless steel stock. I've got those arched, notched, and polished, and now they look like a real nice strip right here. My headliner material, I've decided I'm going to do a semi-gloss, or actually it's a flat finish on my headliner and my floor, so it's going to look about like that. Looks pretty nice. And then the final fitment on my headliner, my stainless strips go in place like this. Push them up in the front, and they lock in. So every one of those are custom fit, certain length, lock in place, locks my headliner in place. We'll have the satin finish on it, and it turned out pretty nice. Been a long time working on that headliner. So now I'm going to get back up front, and I'm fixing to try to do some time-lapse video with our new GoPro on painting our frame, and we'll see how that goes. So stay tuned.